So social care funding is crucial for everyone, particularly older people or those with disabilities. It helps ensure that people get the support they need when they need it. We're seeing care costs, can be £8,000 to £10,000 a month now. So quickly people are going through their savings, which means that they then fall under that threshold much quicker than they used to.
The Ombudsman has looked at this quite a lot recently and has been quite scathing of local councils not providing these true alternatives. And, there's lots of things that you need to consider when you are looking at care homes in the first instance. It has said that the councils have not been acting properly. So yeah, it's always worth looking at the alternatives that have been given and making sure that they are a reasonable alternative.
And if you're not happy with a complaint, you can make a complaint all the way through to the Ombudsman. Welcome to HJ Talks, Understanding Care Funding, your go-to podcast for navigating the complex world of paying for health and social care in England and Wales. Whether you're a family member, caregiver, or someone looking for legal advice, we break down the intricacies of care funding in clear, actionable terms. From understanding CHC, challenging unfair top-up fees, each episode provides expert insight and provides real-world advice. So welcome back. This is our second vlog, and today we're going to be talking about local authority funding together with top-up fees. So local authority funding, so social care funding and top-up payments. If you're not sure about how this works, or if you're navigating the process yourself for you or a loved one, this is where we'll try and give you the answers you need. So social care funding is crucial for everyone, particularly older people or those with disabilities. It helps ensure that people get the support they need when they need it. However, it is tricky to navigate and understand, especially when it comes to local authority funding and the top-up payments. So we're going to try and break it down for you. What is local authority social care funding and what are top-up fundings? So firstly, we'll look at local authority social care funding. This is financial support provided by your local council, social services to help pay for care services. This can include a wide range of services like helping with daily living activities, such as personal care, household tasks or meals, or support with healthcare needs. Now, to receive social care funding, Michelle, what is the first thing that people need to do?
Right. Well, the first thing you need to do is contact your local council and your social services department. And what you will need to ask for is some help. But the first thing that they will do is undertake a means test. So unlike NHS funding, which is free, there's no means test involved. Social care does involve a means test. So basically, the council will want to know about your income, your capital, and basically if you can afford to pay for care. And they will do a calculation to work out what, if anything, you need to pay. And we're going to go through a little bit more about that now, because there are differences between the type of care you want and differences between England and Wales.
So with social care funding, there's a capital limit, isn't there? So they'll assess what your income and your capital is. And if you have capital over a certain amount, you have to pay the full cost of your care. Now that capital differs, doesn't it, between England and Wales? In England, the capital limit is 23,250, but in Wales, it's much higher, and it's set at £50,000. So if you have savings or that are above that amount, or capital that's above that amount, you will have to pay the full cost of your care. If you're under that threshold, that's when the local authorities step in, isn't it, Michelle?
Yes, they will step in and they will pay the difference between what you can contribute from your income and the cost of that care. But this does then bring us on to the question of top ups, because quite often there will be a particular type of care that somebody wants, maybe in a particular type of residential home, let's say, and that will be above the set rate that the local council is willing to pay. Each council will have a set rate for that area, and often families or the person themselves may not want to have care provided in those establishments that come within that rate. So that's when the families then are asked to pay a third party top up, and that is then to pay the difference between the local authority rate and the cost of the care provider. And often we find that is an option that is not made clear. Often families are told they have to pay a top up, and that's not necessarily true, is it?
No, and also what's especially currently the cost of care has gone up and is continuing to go up, and it's at an extortionate amount. So those that did have a sizable capital are, you know, their savings are being completely depleted by care costs, and we're seeing care costs, can be £8,000 to £10,000 a month now. So quickly people are going through their savings, which means that they then fall under that threshold much quicker than they're used to. So, but top ups are supposed to be an optional. So top ups should only be asked for if there's a genuine choice of alternative accommodation. So even if, for example, your mum or dad have been in a care home for some time and they then fall under the local authority threshold, if the local authority have assessed that they will only pay, say, £600 for that care home, and that the care home is worth £900, they can't then automatically ask for the family to pay that £300 top up. What they have to then demonstrate is that there is true alternative accommodation that will meet the mum or dad's needs within that £600 that they're happy to pay.
Yes, that's right. And the Ombudsman has looked at this quite a lot recently and has been quite scathing of local councils not providing these true alternatives. And, there's lots of things that you need to consider when you are looking at care homes in the first instance. So even before you've got to the stage where you've dropped below the capital limit, as Lisa said, people are getting there a lot quicker. So it's important to look at whether the top ups can be afforded in the long term, but also to have a really good look at what information your local council has given you. For example, have they given you two care homes that are a reasonable alternative? So, for example, are they within an area that the family could travel to see the patient? For example, we have seen a husband and wife and there be no public transport to a care home that's been given as an option. Well, we would argue that that's not really an option at all for that person. And decisions like this have been looked at by the Ombudsman, and the Ombudsman has said that the councils have not been acting properly. So yeah, it's always worth looking at the alternatives that have been given and making sure that they are a reasonable alternative.
And in respect to that top up, Michelle, it's also important to know what is included as capital when you're looking at if you are over those thresholds. So
Yeah.
what's usually included within that capital limit?
So as most people would expect, it would be things like money in the bank, savings, um, certain investments are included, but also if an individual is going into residential care, then that can include the cost of their property, their main residence. There are a few disregards for that, which I think we'll talk about in a later vlog. But yes, the capital can include a house, and as you can see by the limits, if somebody does own their own house, then they are 9 times out of 10 going to be over that capital limit.
I suppose the most important disregard, and the one that is most common, is that if your spouse is in the home, in the main family home, the home is then not taken into account, isn't it, Michelle? But if that home
Yeah.
then becomes empty, the house, a reassessment, financial assessment is done, and the value of that property is then taken into account. And if no appropriate option has been given, you can make a complaint, can't you, to the local authority and about the top up and whether it should be lawfully charged. And if you're not happy with a complaint, you can make a complaint all the way through to the Ombudsman. But if the top up is something that is reasonable and what the family are happy to pay, who pays who pays the top up is usually a family member, isn't it,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
someone who has the financial means to do it
Yeah.
and to contribute to that
Yeah,
extra
it is
cost.
important to note the patient or the person receiving the care is not the person that pays the top up. They're not allowed to pay the top up. So it does have to be a third party, and that can be a family member. Sometimes we have seen examples of charities paying top ups, but as a general rule, it's a family member. So it is, as we said earlier, important to look at, could this top up be paid in the long term to avoid somebody having to move further down the line once they've settled somewhere.
So if you are asked to pay a top up, I think it's important just to have a few things to consider. Firstly, you should consider the affordability. Make sure that you or the person that is going to pay the top up can afford to make those payments. And because, to bear in mind that, as we see, care fees can rise over time. So whilst you may be agreeing to now pay £200 a week, for example, that might go up to £250 a week next year. There should be a contract and documentation in place, ensuring that the top-up agreement is clear and is in writing. And again, it's just crucial to bear in mind that long-term impact upon you. On how you're going to meet those ongoing costs. So it's important that you fully understand the implications of committing to a top-up payment.
And it is really important to know that the local authority, the council, they won't be involved in the top up payment process. It will be a contract strictly between the family or the individual paying the top up and the care home themselves. So it's important to know that the local authority sometimes are not aware of a top up being paid.
Yeah, and we know that the system is very overwhelming, but there is help out there. We can help in looking at whether a top up fee is correctly charged, but also your local authority social care team would be able to walk you through the process of eligibility and what it covers, and also there's charities out there that can help you navigate the system. It is getting that right information from the outset will save you a lot of stress, and ensuring that you're accessing the support that you need. So that's really top up payments in a very quick vlog for you. I hope this video helped clear up some confusions around top up payments. It is a lot of information to take in, and understanding your options and knowing what to do in the first place will ensure that you make the best decision for you and your loved one.
Definitely. If you found this video helpful, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more information on social care and other important topics. And feel free to leave us any questions or comments below. We'd love to hear from you.